Ewart, you can speak while we're on here. I just don't know what's happening here, boy. This is just crazy. I am wondering, sometimes it's very, very disgusting sometimes when you try to get some information and then all kinds of things happen your way and then, um gosh, these things happen sometimes and they have you wondering. I'm hoping that I have MP Nima Flu here with me and we have Central Exec member uh what's Robin Simon here with me. We're supposed to be logging in here to discuss again. Uh, Same things, different day. Uh, it's just disgusting, and sometimes it gets very, very, very overwhelming. Folks, how y'all doing? How just how y'all doing? It's Wednesday again. Um, so many things are happening, and we're just trying to find out why these things are happening, why they are happening, and we don't seem to be getting answers. Um, I don't know. I just don't know why these things are happening. Maybe some of you can help me to talk about why these things are happening. We're going to have MP, like I said, MP Nima Flobess, who's going to join us, as well as Central Exec member Robin Simon. And we are also expecting to have joining us MP Vince Roy Jordan. I'm not sure what is happening. And it's been so crazy sometimes, the internet. It's doing its own thing. GPL is doing its own thing. I know power has been restored to some of my colleagues there, but I'm hoping that they're going to be joining me. But anyway, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How y'all doing? I'm trying to fix the camera and all kind of thing here. Sometimes these things get out of the way. But we're gonna talk again on what is happening. I'm hoping that you were having a good couple of days. We had lots of rainfall, lots and lots of rainfall over the last couple of days, and we're expected to have more rainfall. What do we do? I don't know. Uh, we've got quite a lot of monies that were um, quite a lot of monies that were approved in the budget, 81 point something billion dollars, and we're hoping that much more is going to be done for our people. And so I have joining me here, two of my beautiful colleagues joining me here. Welcome to same same
Same things.
different day. Sometimes you have to just be happy about what is happening. We planned this program and then GPL went and then something else happened, but we're here this afternoon and we're going to talk to you. So I have MP Nima and MP Vince Roy here with me along with CC member Robin Simon. We're going to talk about same things different days, and we like when things happen on the same, we like when same things happen, but they must be good things. And so we're going to start off with MP Vince Roy Jordan. MP Jordan, you and I know that we have had issues with flooding and flooding and flooding and flooding. But before we go into that, you tell us, same things, different days. Your interpretation.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Sister Coretta. Good afternoon to my other colleagues and our listening and viewing audience. Well,
Good.
I can say to you, in Guyana, same thing, different days. It kind of mirrors the PPP because when you speak about the same thing, different days, they continue to do the same nonsense on different days. And if you follow them carefully, only yesterday I was talking about it. They are more of a reactive government, and they just showcase on a daily basis their incompetence in different ways. So it's the same thing, different days. We what we had in 2021, 2022, 2023 is nothing different now, but it's just that their incompetence has matured. And so you see the level of incompetence, you see the level of corruption, you see the level of mismanagement, you name it, it is rampant every single day. Um, Thank God that the different days sometimes brings to us renewed strength, and that is the only thing that keeps us going. Because had it not been for his renewed strength on a daily basis, I don't know what would have happened to us in this beautiful country of ours, Guyana. That the PPP, I'll say it to you, correct. When I used to go to school, crossing on the boat, going to Borby's High School, there was a big guy used to be sitting on the boat and playing a little guitar. I'm trying to remember his name.
I remember that
That,
blind guy.
that guy, right? So he said, he said one day, he said, youngster, Guyana is a beautiful country. He said, but it's not the country, it's the people, you know? And so Guyana is a beautiful country, but it's the people that we have managing this country. So same thing, different days.
Well, you have touched on recent years, but we've got to take our minds way back to 2000, 1992, 1993, all the way down there. And it doesn't change. Same thing, different days. Police brutality, murder, execution style, cocaine here, there, and everywhere, corruption here, there, and everywhere. Same things, different days. Um, we're going to have CC member Robin Simon just give us a little brief, and then we'll go to MP Flu, and then we'll talk about what's happening same day, same thing, different days.
Robin, you're muted.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, viewers. To my two beautiful sisters and this only handsome young man we have here with us. Guys, listen. Same situation, same policy, same political environment.
Mhm.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing.
Nothing is changing. We are speaking, quarreling. We're on the ground. We're doing
Mhm.
everything, but somehow our people are not listening. But what I want everybody to know is that our future has no room for mistakes.
I agree.
Our future has no room for mistakes. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Mm-hmm. Nemo, could we have you? Nemo,
I
you might
will,
be muted too.
good evening,
Okay.
good afternoon to everyone. I will pick up from where my comrade, you know, um, hmm, same thing, a different day. Um, Sitting in my is like I'm reliving um the time with the Phantom Squad, and so we have mothers crying. it's sad that people didn't recognize that having a PPPC government return, nothing will change. But we have to continue doing what we have to do um, to fight and stand up for people.
MP Jordan, I know that you cover agriculture and you've been doing a very good job at it. What we're seeing here is not anything that came dropped out of space. And I'm talking here about the flooding that we're experiencing, where homes are flooded, livestocks are dead, people are suffering. I just saw yesterday, way up in Corriverton, I saw in Manchester, Region 6 seemed to have been the region that is hit hardest. But we've seen other pictures on the East Bank, on the Linden Sioux Dyke Highway, Hillfoot, in Georgetown of itself. What really is happening?
Look, I've said it before, correct, and I'll say it again. This government is not really interested in bettering the lives of our people. And I'm saying that against this backdrop because one person asked the question if the government caused the rain to fall. But I want to point this out very clearly that the government didn't cause the rain to fall, one of the
Mhm.
PPP mouthpieces, but it is the government's responsibility to ensure that whether rain falls or not, that whenever water comes, we are not flooded. It is the
Exactly.
government's
Mhm.
responsibility to ensure that farmers can be rest assured in their homes, that their farmlands are safe, whether they are there or not, to quickly use excavators to do emergency polling and all of that. This government spent over $200 billion in the last few years. Or let me just come back to this year. Let's stick to this year. They received 89.1 billion dollars
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
NDIA under the Ministry of Agriculture. They spent billions before, but yet still we see as soon as the rainfall. Now get this, corrector.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is the government that controls the hydromet office. It is the government that gets the information first. I heard the Minister of Agriculture, and that's why I had to put it up yesterday, speaking about monitoring the rainfall, that he got information and word on this incoming 5 or 6 days of um extremely high rainfall, and that he's monitoring it. And apart from monitoring the rainfall, he said that it is under control. Now, just 1 hour after this minister said that the rainfall is under control and everything is under control, the entire province on 78, you check quarantine, you check the Linden Sioux Dyke Highway Junction, parts of Georgetown, all those places flooded. Just 1 hour after he spoke about it, I was able to put to um his statement that there are a number of residents already affected, farmlands covered. And you're saying to us that you spent our monies over the last 6 years, let's put it to 6 years, and you have not yet put in place a system and network that can easily drain 24 hours of water. This is really, we're in a bad shape. But apart from that, one would want to just take the $89.1 billion into perspective and say that's what drainage and irrigation has. But we must also look at the overlapping, or I would say the duplication of efforts in as a government, because the Regional Democratic Council has monies to deal with agriculture, drainage, and irrigation. The NDCs are given monies to deal with same. The Ministry of Agriculture, NDIA, is given money to deal with same. MMA which plays a vital role in Region 5, they're given some other millions and billions to do the same. Water Users Association, and we can go on and on in other areas.
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
we look at that, It will total hundreds of billions. But yet, for all, from the time the rain falls, public roads are flooded, farmlands are flooded, people's homes are flooded, streets are covered. How
Mhm.
then can we not blame this government? Or why must we not blame them? Because they
Mhm.
have the money and they have been spending the money. They should have the necessary systems in place. But you know what? Instead of putting the necessary systems in place, they are busy in places like Congo, Bakliao, in Maikoni, and places like Hole, digging out what is ancestral lands to pass housing schemes and put roads and drains to suit themselves. The real places for the canals, they're not doing it. And like I've said to people before, we as a coalition, and particularly as the People's National Congress before, we like to do our studies and we like to make assessments and judgments that are real with facts, that things that when you complete a feasibility study, you know it will serve the people. But the PPP, they wake up one morning and they decide that they're going to pass the 4 lane highway all the way through Hole on the Maikoni Creek, and they're going to pass it through farmlands. They don't care how many farmers will be displaced. They don't care when they're going to serve the purpose of the people. But I want to say to Guyanese through this program, wait, you will soon see the new upgraded Silica City that is coming right in Region 5. That is where they're moving to, a new Silica City. So we've been talking about the one in Region 10, well, Linden, rather, not Linden, up the Suicide Highway. We will soon see another Silica City.
Well, MP Jordan, you forgot to say this. You said they're not putting systems in place. They are putting systems in place because you
For
said it
themselves.
in your parliamentary presentation. The systems that are being put in place is the driveway to get to Minister Zulfikar's house that you have to use a taxi to get there. The big mansions, the SUVs, and all these apartment buildings. So that's where the monies are going, and the ordinary Guyanese citizen is left to suffer. So that's the only system they're putting in place. The system that will enable them to be able to get rich off of the backs of poor people. MP Nima, I know you've been having experience in some at your end. We saw those pictures.
Um, I didn't hear you just now, Robin.
We know that you've been experiencing
Correct.
some flooding at your end as well. I saw you going out there looking at a basketball court, and then I saw what happened at Hillfoot. Maybe you can share some more with us.
Yes, actually, the day that they had the flood, I was actually heading to Yarrowcabro and was forced to turn back because one, you had water issues on the road at Bakery Supply area. Then you had
We're getting a feedback from
that
somewhere. I'm not
was
sure.
damaged at Yarrowcabro. And so you had a set of water pulling up at different sections. And I wasn't there and encourage people to drive too much in these areas if you don't know the area well. And I don't
Mhm,
know the
mhm.
area well. I don't know where the drains exactly are or where the roads are. So I couldn't go to that area for the last 2 days. Again, this speaks to the type of works that we see ongoing with these road projects. Vince, I would remember when we were going to Linden. I was surprised when we were going to Linden the other day that they had water, pools of water, sort of section of the new part of the road that was
Mhm,
recently constructed. So when I saw the culvert at the Yarkaba area so give way, I said we can really understand the level of substandard works being done. And
mhm.
just a little rain proved that I don't know what NDIA or whoever does be doing drainage is Vince Rega tell me. What really are they doing with these monies? Rian just got a smile. I want to know if monies were actually spent to do anything to maintain the drainage in this country.
And mind you, we know the seasons when we get rain. And so the PPP, they have been there for the last 6 years. So it's not something that happened just now. We experienced flooding on the quarantine where farmers lost their crops and their livestock. Come on. You're putting systems in place. It is saying, therefore, to us that this is not putting people first, this is putting people out. And
And
every day, the same things, different days. But while that is important in terms of the flooding that our citizens are experiencing, we have some other things happening. Again, another mother is crying. Again, another sister is crying. Again, another brother is crying. Again, another village is alarmed. Robin, could you take us through that? I'm not sure how much more of this we can take.
I am not sure how much more indeed we can take, because when we lose a mother, a brother, a son, a child, we all are losing what is to be. Who's to
Mhm,
be the doctor? Who will be a
mhm,
nurse?
mhm,
Who's going to be the lawyer? So our future is indeed affected. And for some reason, I can remember my sister Nima said earlier, this old thing is, it's causing us to relive a season or relive a time which
mhm,
none of us
mhm,
wants to be a part of, I should say. None of us wants to experience it, but we are. There was a time when the Guyana police force, they were forced to reform themselves. If you all can remember back in 2005 with the jailbreaks and all the killings, when police
2000.
officers were being, innocent police officers were being gunned down and all of these things,
Mhm,
they were
mhm,
forced to reform. They were forced to close gates. They were forced to treat people differently. We do not want to see that again. Nobody wants to relive this. Nobody wants to cry for their loved ones. It is not right. But yet today, we just bury two of our children because of negligence. If
mhm,
you all can
mhm,
remember the twins,
mhm,
then
mhm,
we would have buried Adriana,
mhm,
murder, no
mhm,
justice. You
mhm,
understand? Then we would have had the Henry brothers. Both parents are dead, no justice. And
mhm.
now all the others that you all would be more familiar with, because there was a
Mhm.
time I was
The two
out
in
of the
Linden,
country. The
the
two
two
in
in
Linden
Linden,
and all these
then the
other
three in
kids,
Linden.
we are
You can't
losing
forget
our women.
Quinlan Bacchus.
And
We can't forget the
good,
Henry boys.
my very own, just a village away, Quindon, no justice. And now we have Otis, well known as Jaja, our community boy, a young man from the village who is not a pest, who is not a thief, a crook, a bandit. He is just an ordinary citizen, a human being who has lost his life in the custody, police custody. And today you're airing all sorts of things. My brothers and sisters, let me tell you all something. If we do not, I can't even say wake up, because we've been constantly using this word wake up, wake up, wake up. If we do not smell the coffee that is brewing, the strong scent of Folgers in your cup, the best part of waking up, if we are not ready to smell that coffee, comrades, my fellow Guyanese, we will continue to cry and ask how many more. For me, I don't want that. I don't want this. I don't. I really don't, comrades. This is hard.
You see, the thing is, and you know, I'm sure ERC is tuned into this program, and if you say the things you really want to say, they're going to be sending you letters to ask you to come visit them and to explain this and to explain that. But you don't see ERC when we got matters like these. We had the Henry boys, Harish Singh, the three from Linden, the three martyrs, then the two from Linden, and then we had Quindon Bacchus. We got just the other day little Marlon, health condition, huh? With all the monies that we got, and that child had to die. $7 million we couldn't find, but we finding hundreds of thousands of US dollars to pay attorneys to fight extradition case. We got hundreds of thousands of US dollars that we're giving to consultants here and consultants there, and this person here and that person there. But children, the lives of our children, it seems as if it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. And when you say certain things, then they want to tell you that you're being racial and you're playing the race game. But of course, when you look at the amount of persons who are losing their lives, whether little boy or little girl or teenage boy or teenage girl or adult boy or adult girl or a woman, the majority of them come from one ethnic group. And so you have to ask the question, why?
And Coretta, I want to just make a point because you zoned into what I had to speak about just the other day. The Ministry of Agriculture, after myself and the other MPs who were in the back dam spoke about the farmers being pushed off of their lands, they said in a statement that we want to make it an ethnic talk, that we want to make it a race bait. But I want Guyanese to understand very clear, and you mentioned ERC. It is only Afro-Guyanese that have been pushed off of their lands. So if it is Afro-Guyanese that are pushed off of their ancestral lands, then we must speak about it. If it is Afro-Guyanese who are losing their houses, being bulldozed and being thrown into canals and farmlands, who will we speak about? And so I had to make the point to one reporter when he called me. I said, it must be about race, because we are seeing in Guyana, when Guyanese are affected with their lands, the government comes in and regularizes the land. When Guyanese are affected with farming and what's that, the government comes in and fix the problem. But when Afro-Guyanese go through the same, they don't come in to fix. They come in, as a matter of fact, they're the ones causing the hardship upon African Guyanese. When you look at Hillfoot, you look at Moko, when you look at Firish on the quarantine, you look at Maikoni, at two locations, we see only Afro-Guyanese being removed from their lands. Homes being broken down. Just the other day in Friendship, who are the people that have been affected? The same is true when we look across the country and we say, how many more black boys or black girls have to be killed on the road before black Guyanese wake up and understand, or Afro Guyanese wake up and understand? The same they say that it is a race issue, but it must be a race issue, my sisters, because it is only African boys that are being killed on the streets like that. It is only African girls that, when you look at it across this country, I can tell you I am prepared to answer to the ERC at any time, because the ERC themselves need fixing, because they had just the other day, they had a program to end racial something. I can't remember the theme of it, racial discrimination, something ending racism. And the panelists of the persons of ERC are all Indians and one mixed person.
A big joke.
We're talking about ending racism. Look, this government has emboldened these people that they do as they please. Because if tomorrow, and again, I'm speaking from past experience, and so I can speak how I'm speaking. When they killed the Henry brothers and cousins in Region 5, who are my relatives, to date we haven't gotten justice. We beg, we plead, we black road, we burn tire, we broke bill, everything the people did that they thought could have moved the hand of this government. Afro-Guyanese Mark Phillips and those others in the People's Progressive Party Civic came to the house with no less of a person than the president. They said no stone will be left unturned. You want me to tell the public what is the stone that was left? It was death and death and death. The mothers of both boys died. The grandmother of our Singh died. The two brothers of Joel and Isaiah were in prison. It is just as if they are lost, they are gone. The family is left torn apart and broken. And you're telling us that we cannot represent our Afro-Guyanese brothers and sisters where it matters most. If it cause, if the ones that are being affected are Afro-Guyanese, we have to raise our voices. Similarly, if our Indo-Guyanese are being affected, yesterday the persons that I highlighted affected by the flood are not Afro-Guyanese. Those are Indo-Guyanese from the quarantine. Those are persons who messaged me, the inbox, they said, MP, look some of the issues, come MP, see some of these challenges, and they are Indo-Guyanese. But when we represent our own, you hear that it is a race issue. So I want to send us a message to ERC. You can come for me, but I don't care because ERC themselves serve no purpose in this country. The average Guyanese doesn't have any respect for the ERC. Until we have a new board functioning properly with not PPP activists, then we have a proper ERC.
Well, you know, the thing is, it gets so disgusting sometimes that you don't even find the right words to express yourself and to describe them. I don't know really what is the purpose of ERC, because we're here and we're Guyanese. You know, they sent me a letter asking me to come into them and something. But I will deal with the ERC when I'm ready to deal with the ERC. I have no time with the ERC right now because I've got the people's business to deal with, and I will do that first. I don't have time with the ERC because and they're calling me because somebody made a complaint. I'm going off a little. Somebody made some complaint when I had a program, I think it's sometime in December or November, and I spoke about the Venezuelans, and somebody made a complaint about that and saying that I'm being xenophobic and some kind of craziness. But you can prove to me, ERC, if what I said on that program was wrong, because the Venezuelans, quite a lot of them are bullies in our country. They are bullies. Look, we had the gas station bombing, and you're telling me that I can't speak about it? Huh? But that's another part of the story. But I want us to narrow down on what we really want to talk about this afternoon. This Otis Jordan boy, I have never seen his picture anywhere on social media saying he's wanted or anything like that. I've never seen his picture there. And so I want to ask a few questions. Was this young man ever wanted by the police? And the police will have to answer these questions. Was he ever wanted? Was he ever charged for any offense? Was he did he ever have to spend time in was he ever incarcerated? Those questions I want to ask. And then I want to go further to ask, what time was this young man pulled into custody? We understand that the offense is he had some altercation with his baby mother. But let me tell you what, he's dead, and his baby was born the same night he died. His baby was born. I mean, this is another child who will have to grow not knowing his father. And I don't want to hear all the foolish comments. This is another child that will grow up not knowing his father because his father lost his life senselessly in the hands of the government, because the police comes under the government. So what time did you pull in this young man? Then when we I don't know if these things happen, but I don't think they happen. When you pull somebody into custody and you have to keep them in there, don't we do name, address, next of kin, and telephone numbers? And so don't we ask for those things? Don't we ask about whether you have a medical condition or these kind? Don't we ask those questions? Well, we just pull people in, we put them on the bench, we throw them in the lockups. Don't we ask those questions? Because if we ask those questions, then we would be able to know how to deal with this person. Because if you pull Coretta McDonald in, and Coretta McDonald is asthmatic, then you as a policeman or you as the policeman there would understand that an enclosed room might very well cause a crisis to come on. And so we ask these questions. But it seems as if the lockups are now made for dogs. I can't even say dogs because I hold my dogs as being precious. I don't know who the lockups are made for. So you just pull people in, you throw them in without asking any questions. And if they start complaining, if they need some water, if they start complaining that they're not feeling well, you take everything for joke. Everything is, you joke about everything. And so here is this young man who it is alleged was crying out for feeling unwell. We don't know what time this happened. So the police must tell us what time this happened. We're hearing that they took him to the hospital. What time did you take him to the hospital? We're hearing that you returned, he was returned to the police station. Oh man, if a prisoner is there and he's crying out for not feeling well, you went to the hospital, he was given some treatment. Gosh, some common sensing and tell you, well, okay, put on a handcuff on his hand and have him on the bench there. Let him sit there and somebody observe him for a while. Huh? You can just dump him in there again. And then when you dumped him in there again, was anybody checking to see what was happening there, or the policemen went to sleep? What already transpired? And then we are hearing that this young man was taken to the hospital. According to the doctor, it is alleged that the doctor is saying when the young man got there, he was already dead. So what transpired between the time he was returned to the station and when he was removed from the station to be transported to the hospital again? What transpired between that time?
I can tell you.
And if you can't answer these questions, the Guyana Police Force and the Minister of Home Affairs, then all of you are complicit. All of you are responsible for the death of this young man.
That entire night shift at the Covent John police station, the entire night shift at the Covent John police station, those officers who worked Monday night into Tuesday morning must be held accountable for this young man. And I want to make it clear, and this, what I'm saying here this afternoon, it is a fact and it is a proven fact and we can prove it. The allegation, the statement they made that he was taken to the hospital and received treatment, my sister, my viewers, everyone out there who is listening this afternoon, I am here to tell you that it is a lie. It is a blatant lie. And why I can say this? Because Otis, well known as Jaja, was taken to the hospital 2 times, and 2 times within the 1 day, he did not receive any medical attention. And I am waiting because the statement is out there. They're trying to portray or trying to make this thing look as though this boy was sick. He was arrested on Friday. There is a video going around. There was no retaliation. He was arrested from his home through the street there in Haslington South, and he was taken into custody. He was not sick when he was arrested. And I'm going to say this to you, and this is what I know for a fact, and it can be proven. This young man did not receive no medical attention. And I'm hoping that they don't come with nothing different, because we know it. And this is one of the reasons I'm here today, because all the statements you see floating around, my sisters, they some of them are not true. They are not true. But what is sad is that we are living in a country where we have all these big revenues, billions and trillions of dollars, and the money is pumping into areas and things it ought not to. For example, police reform, health, our children, our future, education. These are things you would expect billions of dollars going into, but you're seeing infrastructure, failing infrastructure, failing
Mm,
infrastructure, and
mhm,
the money just keep going and going and going and going.
mhm, mhm.
It just keep going and going. So we have here another African young man, and I want everybody to understand when we talk about Africans being killed and all of that, most of the people who are being killed in this country within, from my what I'm observing, between 60 to 80% are Africans. So we have to talk about it. We have to highlight it. So we have another brother, another son, another mother who's holding her tummy and crying because
Mhm,
nobody can tell her how this child passed away. 9
mhm.
o'clock is when she is going to find out, or 9 o'clock she found out that her son is at Enmore morgue. And I cannot blame the hospital because no doctor did not attend to this young man. No time during the process of him being at Cove and John police station.
But let me stop you a little, Robin. Are we sure that this young man was taken to the hospital? Are we sure that he was taken there? Because if he was taken there, then some record is supposed to be there. And if he
Yes,
was
the lawyer
taken
is going to
there,
find that. Yes.
then he should have been treated by a doctor. A doctor should have seen him to say, well, okay, he's faking, or he's suffering from some back injury, or his nose is stuffy, or he's
Or,
having a temperature.
or
Somebody
some
should have
damage,
been
some
saying something.
exactly. And that is one of the reasons why the postmortem was not done today, because they're hustling and pushing for a postmortem. And the doctor said no. And I respect the doctor's decision, the
Yeah.
pathologist's decision. I respect that because no records, nothing was given or taken for this young man, for the doctor, for this pathologist to read and see what's going on. So why is he opening this young man?
Just now, just hold for me. Operator, I think MP Vince Roy is somewhere again. He was knocked off. I think he's somewhere there again. Could you bring him in? But and this is what is disgusting, Robin. That every time you hear the police put up a story, all kinds of stories they're putting up. No wonder the police could have good
Yes.
relations with citizens in this country.
And
And I
it is
want to
getting worse.
warn the police that you're once a policeman, but twice a civilian. I want to warn the
Yeah,
police. And of course, not all of them, the rogue ones.
exactly.
This
Yes.
government must go out there to weed those rogue police out of the system.
Exactly.
We don't need you
100% agree
there.
with you.
We don't
Yes.
need you there. But you know why the police are emboldened to do this kind of foolishness? Because they get a 5,000 and a 10,000 and a something on their salaries for going out there with batons and all kinds of things to beat ordinary citizens when you stand up for your right. That is why they're emboldened to do the foolishness they're doing. And the other reason why they're emboldened is because they know a grand statement will come out to say, oh, we have launched a thorough investigation and an investigation is ongoing. And then what happens? You don't get a report from it. If you can't even get a report from the helicopter crash, you understand what I'm saying? And I'm saying this because, not because I want to say it, I'm saying it because I'm angry. I'm saying it because that could have been my son. I am
Ex-
saying this because Guyanese people got to wake up. I know we're saying it over and over, but Guyanese people got to get up one of these days and start lining the streets.
Smell
Mind
the
you, I am not
coffee.
inciting violence. Let me make that clear. But we must stand up and we must hold hands and line the streets from Corriverton to Perico. Because what doesn't affect you today is going to affect you tomorrow or next week or the other day. And we have to show that we are united in this fight against police brutality and police execution style murders. You cannot, it is no, the police are supposed to be there to protect and serve. And what do the police do? Kill and slaughter. That's what some of them do. Is it that your mandate has changed now? Huh? Every little two turns, police know, some police don't know how to approach citizens. Everything is about brute force and ignorance. If you continue that way, you'll get the same in return one of these good days from citizens, because it's too much. It is too much. How much more can we take this kind of nonsense? Huh? You don't see these policemen facing the consequences, many of them, of the act that they committed. Huh? All now, the entire bunch who worked at Coven John on Monday night, they should be on close arrest. All of them. All of them. All of them. Now, I saw videos and pictures circulating with this young man, but we're not going to put this on our screen because it's going to bring hurt, and it's going to raise up in us the kind of anger that we don't want to see people exhibit out there. But I've seen bruises, and I'm hearing about bruises on his back and bruises here and bruises there. Why every time you have a prisoner going into the lockups at the police station, why the policemen got to beat them? Y'all are not teachers. Y'all are not teachers. Why you beating these people when they go into the prison, into the lockups? Why are you beating them?
Look,
Vince Roy.
correct. And look, I've been knocked off a little bit, but I heard majority of what you guys were saying, and I want to say this. There always or there is a saying that old people would normally say there are consequences for every action that we take.
And they say
And
too, the longest rope got an end.
got an end. And I'm saying that against the backdrop that this government knew that Clifton Hickins, who heads the Guyana police force, now forget about the neither being qualified nor certified. All of Guyana knows that. He has none of that. But we know for a fact also that Clifton Hickins has been incompetent in his lower ranks, and now being commissioner of police, he has proven to all and sundry that he is far more incompetent. And he is working at the behest of the government. Now, I'm saying that so that we can understand the Guyana police force can never be run properly with Clifton Hickins there. And so that action, this is the reality today. Until one policeman or woman, whomever it might be, when they commit an act that is against their standing operating procedures, and they affect a citizen, whether by losing their life or any other way, and they're held accountable on the spot, and the rest of the force see that there is a stance taken by management of the police force to say that you cannot get away with any form of corruption or any misdemeanor in this force. You will be held accountable. Only then we will see changes. Because if we take all the other instances where the Guyana police force, well, members of the Guyana police force, they act and they do all sorts of nonsense. And from the time you miss, here is the administration of the force coming to cover up what they have done. I am saying that we have excellent police officers, we have excellent inspectors, we have excellent commanders, and so on. We have those, no dispute. But the few bad or rogue elements in the Guyana police force must be gotten rid of. And when you look at where or who they are aligned to, then the answers will come. They will fall into place. Because these people that think that they're big and bad, most of them are the ones that tell the station sergeant or tell the inspectors, you can't say anything to me because I'm going to call Clifton or I'm going to call this body or call the body. And once you get rid of those, look, I know police officer, her number one thing is that I got links. And police keep calling me and complaining about this one. Links. Links to the PPP and it's only a phone call away and blah, blah, blah. Until we put the hammer down on that or those type of officers, then we will get change in this place.
But before we take Robin, Vince Roy, you said it. Clifton Hickens was supposed to have been handed over in handcuffs because he himself said he collected money from a businessman for another senior officer's wedding. So that is taking bribe, which you shouldn't take. And nothing was done. So the others are emboldened. And this is what I'm saying. They're emboldened to do the things that they are doing, the rogue ones. And the very good policemen and women that we have, those who are dedicated and committed and professional, they can't talk up too much. If they talk up too much, they transfer them till 12 pick. If they talk up too much, no promotions for them. If they talk up too much, they put them in a back office. And that is why we're having what we're having in the system. And that is why so many of our citizens are suffering. You go to the police station to make a report about somebody playing music and disturbing you, and before you even reach home yet, the person know that you called. Somebody doing some tint and so on, and all the police officers carrying their vehicles there to be tinted. So you can't talk about all these vehicles that blocking up your street or blocking the roadways because they got links to these policemen. You go there and you complain about noise nuisance, and you complain about young men who they got a drug nest somewhere, and people go in there to buy marijuana and cocaine, and whether it's pure cocaine or crack, and nothing happens because it is alleged that quite a lot of police officers controlling some of those drug blocks, the drug blocks belong to them. So nothing happens. When are we going to end this? When will this come to an end? When will we see a Guyana police force that is professional, that can go out there, talk with residents, get information from residents? No wonder so many crimes we can't solve a lot of crimes because the police themselves involved in the crimes. You remember the days when we used to have policemen renting out their guns, policemen renting out their clothing, and policemen involved in crimes themselves? Huh? This is what they want us to have continue in this 21st century, in this day and age when we're talking about $1 trillion budget. We still got this nonsense going on. I mean, we're going to have to start a Floyd, what was the guy's name? Floyd, what in the US? Maybe we'll have to start a movement like that, where not only Black Life Matters, but where life matters. We're going to have to start a movement like that in Guyana. Somewhere along the line, somewhere we're going to have to rise up and start it. And that's why I said, as Guyanese, we will have to stand and hold each other's hand and form that link across this country. Then and only then, the politicians, the government will understand that we're serious about this business. Robin.
It can change. It will change. But I am pleading with all my sisters and brothers of this country, the good police officers, the good men and women within the Guyana Police Force and the GDF and all of these ministries and public servants, they all have to decide one day to put pens down and stand up. The ordinary citizens of this country will have to decide one day to put pens, cutlass, everything down and stand up. Because if not, this will continue. And Miss McDonald, Mrs. McDonald, Vince Roy, you guys are here, and we're going to talk and we're going to cry and we're going to pray and we're going to do everything possible we can to make sure our citizens are comfortable. But if the citizens of this country themselves does not see the need to stand up and say enough is enough, then how much more can we do?
I am fed up and tired of the investigations, and an investigation has been launched, and a thorough investigation will be carried out, and no stones will be left unturned. I'm tired of hearing that. I want to see the stones turn. I don't want them to be left. I want to see the stones start turning. Vince Roy, we're still waiting for justice for the Henry boys. We're still waiting for justice or in Boston on the Essequibo coast. We're still waiting for justice for the boys in Linden, the 3 martyrs, and then the 2 for Janae and the other one. We're still waiting for justice for them. We're still waiting. No amount of money can bring back anybody's life. We're still waiting for the justice.
And Shaka Blair and all of them. Don't
We're
forget
still
about
waiting
those
for
people.
that. We're still waiting for that. We're still waiting for justice for what's his name, Fraser. You remember Fraser, the bad boy in the black clothes that was gunned down and nobody know how he dead? We're still waiting for justice for him because you're hearing all these stories that is not no, they're not the five fugitive had shot him. It's
And
his
look,
own colleague. We're
and
still
look,
And let's
waiting for
not forget
justice.
about the minister's family, Saturday Osor.
Saturday, sir.
We're still
Let's not
waiting.
forget about Saturday Osor's family. A
If I'm
story that
not
can never tell a tale.
if I'm not mistaken, I want to believe it is either today or 2 days ago, the 25th or the 22nd marks about 20 years since Saturday Saw was killed. We can Google that quickly, but because he was buried in Maikoni, I kind of recollect it is about this time, about 20 years. And this very government can't solve their own a murder of their own minister, who was a sitting minister, senior functionary of their government, as they like to say, cabinet member. He was a cabinet member sitting at the right hand of the
Well,
president,
well,
and
well,
he
maybe,
got killed in his home,
maybe,
and you can't solve that.
Up to
maybe
now.
Fitzroy and Robin. The cabinet was there, but he was not the right type of glass to be in that cabinet. Maybe.
With
Maybe.
all of that. And I wanted to bring this. Robin said it earlier that we can do all that we do, and we talk, we pray, we do the work, and people still Guyanese have to take it upon themselves to make this change, to have this stance against it. I want to say to Guyanese, you have and had an opportunity, because you had an opportunity just a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Our Guyanese brothers and sisters, we forget too soon. We forgive and forget too soon of all the things
No, we get
that,
Vince Roy. We get Vince Roy. We get carried away with the little bricks
I'm
that we
coming to
paint
that.
in gold. Those
I'm
bricks that
coming
we
to that.
paint in gold, we get carried away with them, and we think that everything that glitters is gold.
Right. And so, they went to the polls and they decide to go, who didn't go this way, went that way, went the other way. And the bottom line is that after you would have cast your vote and you now sit in a 6, 7 month old government, and you look back and you say, what is really happening? Am I benefiting from where I put my vote? Guyanese need to start making that hard fact check. And apart from the government, Guyanese also need to make that deep dive, take that deep dive and understand and say truthfully to themselves whether or not
I did the right thing.
who they voted for, even in the opposition, they are truly represented, whether it is really their interest that some section of the opposition is represented, or whether it is their own interests. Because when you look at it, at the end of the day, when after all is said and done, it is one set of people who are feeling it, and it is one set of people who are representing those who are feeling it. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled about the likes and the shares. When you make a post, you got 500 shares within an hour. That don't fix problems. I am saying to Guyanese, I've been there. I stood with the family of the Henry boys. I've been there day and night. I understand what it feels like. I know the pain of losing, and then I stood there, buried the mother of Joel Henry, stood there, buried the mother of Isaiah Henry, stood there, saw the two brothers go to jail at the hand of this wicked government for not doing or saying what the police want them to say. Stood there, see them bury the grandmother of Harrison. And then you continue and you go to the polls and you vote against the same people that stood there. Look, this is time that we must have real talk, Robin and Coretta. Forgive me for venturing out, but we must have real talk. People
Go on,
must
my brother.
understand that there are consequences for our choices.
Mm-hmm.
And when we make those choices, we must be prepared, and we must be resolute to stand against the challenges that will come. But even that, there is still an opportunity. There is still an opportunity, and many more will present itself. But unless
Mm-hmm.
Guyanese can band themselves together and really stand in this fight as we would know it, as truly one people, one nation, and one destiny, we will go nowhere.
That's
Because
so
too
true.
many are being fooled by some words coming from others.
Yeah.
Too many are being fooled over a car. Too many are being fooled over a house. Look, I am tired of it. I've seen it. I have seen people even in and around my community
Mm-hmm.
who run after people just because they're in need. Look, I want to draw the line today for Guyanese to
Yes.
understand. The PPP has helped many who are destroying us now because they impoverish
Mm-hmm.
this nation. They
Mm-hmm.
punish our people. They
Mm-hmm.
put them in the position that they are in today, and then they use it at election time. And that is why we can continue to say same thing, different days, because
Yep.
this is what the government is accustomed to. This
Mm-hmm.
is no longer government of Chetty Jagan that cared for you as a young
Nope.
man and
Nope.
going to school. When I listen to my grandparents speak about Barnum and Chetty Jagan and their ideology and speaking about their values, there are no values when it comes to the People's Progressive Party, Civic, and Barra Jagdeo. There are no values when it comes to those who rise up 3 months and 4 months before an election with no proper rooted ideology to tell you how they're going to look after you or how they're going to fight for you, when the real interest is whether they want to save themselves. Those are the hard questions we have to ask ourselves. And until
Mm-hmm.
Guyanese ask themselves those questions and come to realize that whether there is PPP or others who fly by night, that one government has really taken care of Guyanese, the total Guyanese of all six races, and that is the APNU. The People's National Congress we formed, founded
Mhm.
upon the life and legacy of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, has always championed the rights of all Guyanese in this country. Whether you're here or abroad, we have always championed the rights.
You
But you
know
know,
what is
Vince Roy, just before you go, Robin, sorry. Vince Roy, I want to tap in onto what you said just now. When we look at the life Chedi Jagan lived, look at the home he had. There's nowhere in this country that we can go and point to a palace that is owned or was owned by Chedi Jagan. If we look at the way Burnham lived this life, if we look at the way the PNC ministers back then, look at the homes that they had, look at the home that Hugh Desmond Hoyt had. There is no way that anyone can point a finger to say he had a mansion here and an apartment building there and SUVs here and SUVs there and a bank account somewhere. And you know, we have this talk going around and could you imagine 40 years after the death of LFS Burnham, his name still rings out in the mouths of the PPP all the time, all the time, all the time. And so it is saying that this man had to have been a good man for you to talk about him 40 years after his death. There's this saying that is being peddled out there that Burnham had monies banked in other banks. If he had those monies, then if we look at what happened to Viola Burnham and coming down to her last days, if they had those monies, then they would not have been like that. If you look at the way other
Mhm.
ministers have lived, then you would understand that these were a bunch of people who cared for the citizens, who understood their mandate. And their mandate was not a get rich mandate. Their mandate was to serve the people until we can understand as Guyanese that fancy gaff don't solve problems. Until we could understand as Guyanese that going and sit down on the grass don't solve problems. Until we could understand as Guyanese that a box of cook-up rice don't solve problems, we will continue to face what we are facing, Robin.
You know, Vince Roy, perfect, perfect, Miss But they're not only speaking or calling the great LFS name, they are trying to destroy They're not paying attention to things that he would have built. They're not taking care of it. They're just trying to remove history totally of
Mhm.
this man, and we would not have it. But I want to say to my African brothers and sisters this afternoon, and it is sad because I don't have time to fancy words. It is sad. When the GRA was going to Mr. Mohammed's home to
Mhm.
repossess the cars and all of that, I sat down and looked, I see with my own eyes, and I know a whole lot of you and y'all can come,
Mhm.
pay the
Mhm.
passage to
Mhm.
go and stand up
Mhm.
for the
To
car,
prevent. To prevent
for the Lamborghini, for they
the
paid their
land
passage.
cruisers and so on. Mhm.
But we have people in this country, our African brothers and sisters, who are crying for their children,
Mhm.
who crying for their loved ones. Oh,
Mhm.
we buried our children, buried our sons and daughters, and a whole lot of you don't have that passage to pay to come to a mother or a brother or a father to say, you know what, I am here for you and I'm standing with you. I am with you. But our priorities are mixed up,
Mhm. Mhm.
and unless we start being each other's keeper as a race, unless we start coming together, hold each other, mold each other, stand up for each other, things will not change. We will continue to be used, abused, and misused as Africans in this country. And I'm speaking about Guyana. And we can't say it's a lie because we're seeing it every day. They're trying to rewrite the history of the great LFS Burnham. They're trying to say Mr. Oy did nothing. They're trying to say Granger did nothing. They're trying
Mhm.
to say Aubrey Norton is nothing. They're trying to
Mhm.
say my MPs, my 12 MPs are nothing. They're trying to
Mhm.
say all sorts of things. Our councillors are nothing. But at the end of the day, who really stands up for these people? Who really stands up for you, the citizens of this country, especially the Africans? We stand up
Mhm.
for all Chinese. But when it comes to murders and abuse, and our people are being treated in manners that we cannot even phantom, who stand up for you? Who goes out there?
Mhm.
Always comes back to the PNC.
Mhm. And you
It
know,
always
while
comes
you're
right back to the PNC. It is time we get back to basic. It is time
Mhm.
we return back to basic. It is time we
Mhm.
go back to the olden days when our grandparents and our uncles and all of them used to sit down and have conversations with us and tell us stories and find out about our days, because we are losing our children and these people are not paying attention to what is happening in this country. They are not.
Mhm.
So what do we do as political reps?
Mhm. Mhm.
What do
Mhm.
we do as political reps?
Mhm. Mhm. But you see, the thing is, it just goes to show that the people who care are the ones who are castigated and abused and criticized and crucified, just like what they did with Jesus. When you are there to offer the help, and to give the assistance and to bring calm, sometimes our people don't like that. And sometimes I have to force myself and hold my mouth from saying, sometimes we like what we get. Sometimes what is happening, it is good what is happening to us. But you know what? It's not good, because innocent people, the people who do the foolishness, things don't happen to them. Innocent, ordinary Guyanese people and their children are the ones who feel in the squeeze, who got to be shouting, who got to be bawling, whose tummies got to be tumbling up because they shoot my son, they beat my son and they kill him, that they allow my children to drown because they left a space open with water there that is 10 feet deep, a ditch that is 10 feet deep. My daughter went to swim in a pool, and she can't be found, and a day or so after, then her body turns up there, and there is no end to it. When are we going to end this? As I speak, I'm hearing the cries of my ancestors. As I speak, I'm hearing the cries of Kofi and Damon and the whole host of them. People, we got to rise up. We got to rise up and we got to do and to say, like Mahatma
And
Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X, and all of them. If we can't fly, we must crawl. If we can't crawl, we must walk. If we can't walk, we must do something to keep moving because we got to change what is happening in this society. Guyana must be a place for all. Guyana must be a peaceful country. And some of you want to say all kinds of things, but you put pen to paper and check the survey during the
Mm.
2015 to 2020 years, you tell me how many young men lost their lives. You tell me how many young women lost their lives. You tell me how many children lost their lives. You tell me how many citizens of this country were abused and discriminated against. Put it on paper and let's see that. Those were the best days outside of what happened before 1992. Those were the best days of our lives. You see, again, fancy gallop don't win a race. Fancy talks don't win a race. And we've got to remember that education is key. And you know what this government is doing? This government don't want to see our people being educated. This government want to see our children being illiterate so that you can continue to control them. You throw something at them and you continue to control them. You buy a motorcycle, you buy a little car, and you control them. You give them $100,000. Well, it's not 100,000, it's 99,000, 999,000, huh? Or 900, whatever, because $50 coming out of it.
yeah, 99,000. Yeah,
Yes,
$950. But
yes.
What is
That's
the
what you
correction,
get.
$50 coming out for?
And you
bank
feel happy
charges.
because that's for the bank charging you that. Now, if this government had vision, they would have known that if you're going to put it through the bank, then the bank will have to take out a service charge. And so this is in their DNA to rob Guyanese people all the time. All the time you're robbing Guyanese people. So the
So
banks now,
everybody making
many
cut.
of our banks are going to be millions of dollars richer on our backs. The 100,000 that we're supposed to get, being getting 100,000. And you get carried away. But let me say to you folks, you still have an opportunity to make the wrong right. You still have
Yes,
an opportunity to change
you have
things.
to.
And so we're not going to have any more programs of same day, different things, or same, different things, same day. We're not going to have that. What we're going to shout is one people, one nation,
One
one
destiny.
destiny. We're going to have a country, if you make the right choices, where all will be respected. Our elderly folks who would have given service to this country, they are going to be respected. We're not going to see them standing up at post office and they're falling down in hot sun. We're not going to
Mm.
see that. We will see a people who are respected and they're thanked for their services. We will see young boys and young girls. If you can't do it by the books, you're going to use your hands because you're going to be trained, given skills. We hear them, the Ministry of Labor talk about all these skill training that they give you. And I have seen quite a lot of young people, 5 of them I can tell you, off of my hand, who applied to go to do the heavy duty machinery training. To date, they can't hear a word from them, and they've been running back and forth and back and forth,
Miss Coretta,
and
I
they
have
can't hear
two young
anything.
men.
So when they come out there with these fancy talks that we're training young women to use to operate heavy duty machinery, and we're training young men, all is farce. Because for that training is only so much. If for the training is only a few who are selected, and you make a big noise about it. So don't come to tell us that. And people, you got to get sense. Old people would say you got to get sense. You got to get sense. You must know what you're about so that people don't throw things in front of you. So all of these people are there and no jobs. I saw them talking about, oh, you're graduating so many people, a whole host of people you're graduating. How many jobs are there for them? Huh? You got the job openings for them so that when they're graduated from all these training that they're doing with is it BITS? Yes, I think
Yeah.
it's all the training that you're undergoing there. Where are the jobs when you would have graduated? So don't show us all these numbers show us the jobs that are available, because you would have done your homework, PPP government, and you know where the vacancies are, where the skill sets are lacking. And so when you graduate these people, you're sending them into jobs. You're not having them on the streets wandering. So until such time, the PPP are out here to destroy the people of this country and to destroy this country.
You know, comrades, just um Mrs. McDonald, you just talked about the 5 young people you know. I have 2 young men in my home. They were trained for um the panel, putting down this panel. What you call it? The
Solar panel.
solar panel. And that was in 2022, 2021, 2022. We're in 2026 now. No work. One of them gone in the army. And the next one, he's here with me. Point I'm trying to make is training everybody is not the problem. Placing them is the problem. Placing them is the problem. And I actually thought, and Vince Roy, MP, I'm going back to you with this whole flooding issue here. I actually thought the 2005 flood would have taught this government something. How many persons did we lose from leptospirosis?
Mhm.
How many persons did we lose? Now we have dengue, which is being shared by mosquito. Leptospirosis can automatically show its face up again because it's stemmed from feces from the rats and the cows and all these things in the flood water that our citizens have to go through. Our drinking water, all of these things we're faced with. What is the government doing when it comes to health and agriculture? Should also be one.
Don't forget, we still have COVID. Don't forget that.
Look, I want to make this point, and it is from what Coretta said earlier. Now Robin is put. What Guyanese need to understand that all that glitters is not gold.
Chai.
Look,
They showed us with the brick.
we presented, and forgive me for going back, but we presented. I tell you, I worked day and night, weeks and years with a team of experts. It's not me, because I don't know it all, to put together areas that will benefit Guyanese in agriculture. And then the party went and broadened that and came up with policies and programs. Long story short, we put together an entire manifesto that will benefit Guyanese. When you talk about healthcare, we had that. When you talk about education, we had that. We would have not only been training our young people, the 50-50, we would have trained 50,000, give them 50,000 a month, and then integrate them into proper paying jobs where they pay NIS, they pay PAYE, they got every benefit at the end of their services. I am saying to Guyanese, we spoke about improved infrastructure. We spoke about housing, rent to own. We put it out to Guyanese.
Yep.
But you know what is another problem we have? And this is what a lot of us don't come on social media and speak about. But we got a lot of people who are social media influencers and all of that you call them
missionaries. Missionaries.
I'm not one of the influencers out there. Oh, but they come and they tell us about wanting to represent one people and represent Afro Guyanese and wanted to represent the opposition. But the same people spoke about, look, some of the nonsense they spoke about Aubrey not electable because he's not good. If good looks used to win election, well, then I tell you, a lot of people in Africa would not have won elections.
Trump.
If good looks used to bring revolution, we would not have had the revolution with Coffee standing there. I am saying it's good looks. used to bring prosperity. We would not have had that. I'm saying to Guyanese, stop this nonsense, not all thing cup that knock. My grandmother used to say, run behind. Not every drum that beat you listen to. And so you got to think for yourself. Some went about saying, but he's not intellectually capable and all of that. Who you know about the man's capability and what he has? I am
Yeah.
saying he presented it. He walked with it. But Guyanese made a choice.
And here the
And I'm
Vince Roy.
saying again,
Vince Roy, let me cut
we
you a little
will,
bit
we
down.
will, we will live with the consequences, but we
Vince
will
Roy,
also fight with you to get out of this struggle.
Vince Roy,
Yes.
they also said that he on who somebody paycheck, somebody payroll.
Well, all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to
Forget,
make this.
let's not forget Bamba Mali, where we all planning to go on Lime. Right
Yes,
there, because there are human beings there.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And I want to make this point. I hear a lot of people, forgive me for not remembering the young man's name. It slipped me. I remember it earlier, but it's the little 12-year-old child that died just a few days ago. But
Oh,
I saw the one that was sick. I saw a whole set of statements about who should have helped and who should not have helped and all of that. But let me say this to you, and so that Guyanese would understand, it is the government's responsibility to ensure that proper health care in this fastest growing economy. It is the government's responsibility. But you know what? Guyanese have chosen a government that doesn't care about the ordinary man when they're sick. They don't care about the ordinary man when they lie in the hospital beds. And it is time that some of them go to the hospitals and see what is happening. Go out there and understand. When you go to some of these same regional hospitals, the challenge is you have the facility, but you don't have practitioners. You have practitioners in some cases, but you don't have facilities. And you keep going around and around. When we say to them, instead of doing this, do this. Because if you have practitioners but you don't have the facility, what sense does it make? If you have the
exactly.
facility and you don't have
Yes,
practitioners,
yes.
you're going back to square one. Why
Zero.
not develop what you have? The same thing we spoke about Gaisuko. Look, yesterday morning, Jamaicans in Guyana, Jamaicans cutting cane, Jamaicans not being paid by guys. Well, the contractor who pays Gaisuku who pays the contractor. But the point I want to draw out here is that if we have already reached the point that Jamaicans got to come into Guyana to cut cane, we said it earlier, right size this industry, upskill our people, train our people, mechanize the industry. But no, people believe we were the bad ones. Oh, we want to close down Gaisuko. By now, I'm telling you, with prudent management, we would have had cane harvesters throughout this industry, reaping cane at the right time. Guyanese don't want to go cut cane anymore. I'm not saying you got to close Gaisuko, but you got to bring the thing, diversify the thing, make it what is necessary in this modern day and age. But you know what? Guyanese not they're not, some of them not hearing, some are not listening. Bangladeshi nurses, the other foreign nationals where they come from, they are working in our regional hospitals
And you
and they're
can't
being
understand
paid
anything they
far
say.
more than our local nurses. The same with the people come to cut cane. They were expecting far more. And hear what, my sisters, they were supposed to be paid in US dollars in Guyana to cut cane. And we have Guyanese here who cannot have the same treatment. You know what some of the farmers, some of the cane cutters, these imported Jamaicans complain about? The fields, the access, the weed, the very same thing that Guyanese are complaining about. But you know what? They're going to give foreigners the money to the bush and clean before they go and cut and all of that, or give them the extra. But they wouldn't give our Guyanese brothers and sisters the $20 or $50 more on the paycheck to do the same work that they're bringing people in. Until Guyanese wake up, we will continue to face this hardship.
Mhm. Well, when you're having fun and you're spitting the facts out there, the time always rush away from you, and so we're coming down to crunch time. But I know for sure that our folks would have wanted to hear much more from us. But look, we're going to give you them in little bits, just the same way the doctor would prescribe your medication, so much and so much and so much. We're going to give you that. So, my brothers and my sisters, this is all for now today on same different things, same day or different day, same things. Um, my brother, I'm not sure if you want to have a closing word. I notice I'm not sure whether it's GPL with Sister Robin, but I notice Sister Robin is not there. But we'll take your closing word before we close.
Well, I would just want to say to Guyanese, um, at the end of the day, we are from a mass-based political movement. We're from the People's National Congress Reform, um, wider coalition, their Partnership for National Unity. It has never died, will not die, and
Mm-hmm,
will continue to represent you
mm-hmm,
because the great PNC of Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham, led
mm-hmm.
by our Compton Norton now, will never die. We will continue to champion the cause of our people, and we will continue to be there, whether it be in rain, whether it be in flood, whether it be in a murder, whether it be whatever it is, we will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder because we know that there are Guyanese who deserve our love, our hard work, and our care.
Well, again, this is all for now. Do take care. We see you again at 6:30 for more on advancing the cause. Until such time, do stay well, be safe on the roadways, be mindful of the flood waters, and let's continue to love each other as one people, one nation, one destiny. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.